There you are.
How are you doing?
Sorry I'm late.
No worries.
I was outside with the dogs.
How are the dogs doing?
They're good. They're good. They like to have ball time. This time
Yes.
of so
Yes.
4 o'clock is that time. So what have you got behind you? Is that
It's just a mock-up. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. But I have your book
so
right here.
behind that is Wolfman. Is
Yes.
that
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yes.
have
Yeah.
you seen that? I mean,
I
have you
did.
seen
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
that? And
I liked it. No, I really liked it. I saw it on opening night. It is a Marvel movie. It's not. I mean, it's funny. He's very funny. Ryan Reynolds and it's him, but it's not the same Wolverine because you know how they all do like the alternate universe, and so very famously in 2017, not to give spoilers away to a 2017 movie, but in Logan, he dies at the end, and it's very touching, and a lot of people were like, you can't bring him back now. That's with the same actor. That's not. But even the director of Logan said that they thought that the way that they did it is very yeah. So he's a different one. He's finally wearing like the original kind of like '80s X-Men suit. So I think that's something that people are excited about. It's got a lot of fan service for people who like the comics. It's yeah no, and it's just very very funny. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
good, good. So 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 how did they bring him back to life? I mean, how did they?
Well, and so it's mostly set in whatever the universe that all the Marvels are set in the one in which he died. And then through a series of things, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool has to go find a replacement. So he goes to a bunch of different universes and he actually visits a bunch of different Wolverines, and that sequence is very funny. But anyway, he picks this one, which is actually like the worst one. This is like the down on his luck, not very good, not never a very good superhero, and but he of course he has to help this guy become the hero he needs to be.
I
That's
see.
that whole thing. But yeah, lots of great cameos. Um, yeah, no, I loved it overall. How about
Well,
you? Oh, go ahead.
I'm fascinated by people coming back to life. There's an English sort of pathologist-led thriller series called Silent Witness. The Silent
Yes.
Witness is supposed to be the dead person,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
and it had. I mean, the cast has slowly changed over at least 15 years.
Yes.
And there was a leading guy for the first 10 years, and obviously, I think he must have got fed up.
Yes.
So he totally burned to death at the
Yes.
end of the ninth series or the 10th series.
Yes.
And then I guess they had a contract negotiation.
How? Yeah.
And it was very clumsy. It was actually not very well done.
How did they bring him back?
Somebody because there was some kind of last like you didn't see the body being substituted.
Yeah. 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 No.
They
Okay. Okay. Uh,
should have just said,
okay.
we paid
The
him more, so he came back.
the most famous one of this, I think, probably still to this day, is Dallas, where they very famously killed off Larry Hagman, Jr., the main character, and then
Yeah,
the entire next season was Who Shot Jr. That was the whole Who
yeah,
Shot
I
Jr.
remember that. I remember
And
that.
then, and then at the end of that season, JR walks in, Larry Hagman, with his hat, smiling. The whole season was a dream sequence. The whole season. And so
That's actually pretty good.
people were pretty mad about that. My personal favorite is so Friday the 13th, part 4 is called The Final Chapter. And Jason dies at the end, though he dies at the end of almost all of them. But in the at the beginning of Friday the 13th New Beginning, they dig him up just to make sure he's dead. Then they strike him with a metal rod just to make sure he's dead. Then lightning strikes at that exact moment, and then of course that brings him back to life. I mean, but I think that's the moment where No, it's not. I think that movie, that series was always supernatural. I was going to say maybe that's when it became more, but that's the moment where he became much more. Before he was a serial killer, and then after that he was much more of a superhuman predator
I
who,
see. Yeah.
unstoppable. You could shoot him, and he would just keep coming. He just became more and more sort of
Intolerable.
unrealistically,
Yeah.
but it made for good horror movies, and that's what's important.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I can't remember now how Sherlock Holmes got, I mean, how Conan Doyle got Sherlock Holmes back.
Yes.
He killed him. He was dead for quite a long time.
And then
And
and then it was Conan Doyle who brought him back himself, or
oh
some.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Well, he went he and Moriarty were fighting
Yes.
in Switzerland, and they went over the Reichenbach Falls together.
Okay.
And
Yes.
Conan Doyle, I think at that point he was sick of him.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did mean to kill him, you know, and
Yes.
in other words, he didn't. It wasn't as if he'd deliberately left an opening.
Right.
But then I think I was some years later when I guess it was probably a question of either financial question or he was just fed up being begged to bring him back to life.
Okay, on that note, any thoughts or feelings about Oasis reunion? Does this mean anything to you? Does this?
I've been reading about it
Yes.
actually, and I didn't listen to their music a lot, so I don't relate to them from that point of view. I mean I do wonder about whether, I mean, and a number of bands have done this, including the Eagles, where they've managed to overcome serious bitterness or
Yes.
falling out.
Yes.
And I always wonder whether that's a question of mellowing with age
Yes.
and genuine kind of, you know,
Hmm.
or whether it's just a question of, you know, running out of money.
Well, I mean, yes, and
Like people coming to them and offering them so much
right.
that they're willing to grit their teeth and pretend they like each other.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to earn about $500 million from 14 tour dates next summer. So yeah, I mean, that's
And
that,
would you, and if okay, so so if your bassist was your mortal enemy
right.
for
Okay.
being put up for $500 million.
Right. I think it's, but no, adding to the wrench in this case is that they're brothers. Is that so? It's also a familial thing that also. I mean, I think
Well,
people
that adds a lot to it,
that
doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it seemed again. I'm sure it does. From the outside, it seemed all to come down to a single incident at a festival where they kind of just blew up at each other. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure there was a backstory and more to it than that. But no, yes, I think whether they're genuinely reunioned or not, or just for money, they'll be on stage together. I wonder, yeah, again, how does age mellow you? That being said, though, Johnny Ramone and Joey Ramone did not, who are not brothers, by the way, because none of the Ramones were related to each other, but they did not speak to each other at all. So Joey Ramone, Johnny Ramone stole Joey Ramone's girlfriend way early in their career, before they, like in the 70s. Joey Ramone
Right.
actually wrote "The KKK Took My Baby Away" about Johnny Ramone, which
I
Johnny
see.
performed the guitar solo on night after night to get. I mean, the fact, they didn't. It was still just business. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, yeah. So I wonder if Glenn Fry hadn't died,
Yeah.
if Eagles would have.
Didn't didn't they do Hell Freezes Over tour? Didn't they had a
Actually,
reunion?
I think they did. He was
They
alive
did.
for that. I
Yeah,
think
they did.
because he had a big falling out with who
Don
is
Henley. No.
Don Henley.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. They had a big falling out. Yeah. No, he would have. Yeah, no, he would have. I'm sure for the
Yeah.
money. Uh,
I mean,
so, but I'm amazed actually that there is such an enormous audience out there of for different acts of different ages that somebody can, like these people can go to Vegas and pack, night after night after
Yes.
night,
Yes.
pack concert halls, even though they're kind of, they're not making hits anymore. But so the nostalgia thing is,
But it's been a rough summer for tours though, because as much as you've heard Taylor Swift eras, yeah, for people to be able to save up $700 for Taylor Swift or Beyonce tickets, that means that smaller down market acts. So several acts have had to cancel shows. J Lo, and I don't want to pile on J Lo because she's going through a lot right now, but she's one of those artists, exactly like you said, who has a good solid catalog of hits, but none of them are particularly recent, and she didn't have enough to sell out both a national tour and a Vegas residency. I mean, it was probably either or, but they were ambitious, and it was, so you.
so who do you think takes her audience? Beyonce, or I mean, or is it just everybody?
I, I, okay. Well, full disclosure, I was at a rap show last night, but Metallica played last night, and just looking at the cross section of who is a Metallica fan, they could just as easily been Taylor Swift fans or Beyonce fans. I mean, I don't know if there is a. I mean, don't we all
Okay.
listen to everything now? I mean, don't we all listen to music much like a modern Marvel movie soundtrack with a little bit of 70s, a little bit of rock and roll, some dance pop, some driving rock when you want to drive, when you're, in the car. Don't we all listen to everything now, or am I wrong? Is that, I know I
Well,
have eclectic tastes.
it, it's interesting you said that because last night we went. There's a kind of a big open um, former mansion museum place in Beacon, about half Cold Spring, which is not
Uh-huh.
far from it.
Uh-huh.
And they had a they do a chamber music festival every summer, but they've only just started to do it.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful setting, and so we bought tickets for last night. I had gone to the music. I had been going to the ones every once in a while in Bridgehampton,
Sure.
which were very much like um, hits, biggest
Oh,
hits of
yes.
both
Yeah.
sides. In other words, they were good
Sure.
musicians. They usually had someone like Alan Alda who made an announcement.
Yes.
Other than that, it was not very adventurous.
Sure.
So this program last night, which was in a big white tent, well, they had Brahms, and then they had two other composers I had never heard of.
Huh.
Both, and one of them, I think he's like 1880 to 1940 or something like
Sure.
that. A Romanian, or I don't, maybe
Huh.
I'm getting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there was a five-piece chamber orchestra, and the lead guy, the English, happened to be English, playing the cello, and he just did an introduction and talking about the music and mentioning specifically that you're going to hear you may hear some familiar echoes of ragtime, because this guy was composing well into the 20s and 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
he said that when composers like Schoenberg got to California, I guess because they were fleeing the Nazis,
Yes.
Schoenberg and another one were great admirers of this composer who did all the early Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they said he was an absolute master
Huh.
of orchestrate of a certain
Yes.
kind of orchestration.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I listen in the car. I listen to a serious channel called Real Jazz, because I like real jazz. I guess,
Yes.
as opposed to, I don't know, elevator jazz.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So who do I get on Real Jazz? Kool and the Gang. No, and I get a lot. Actually, you get quite a lot of uh oh, Mexican, not Mexican, Mexican band guys from the 60s, who did a lot of instrumentals. Begins with an S. Sorry if it's going. But the point is
Yeah.
that music is music, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, you, yeah. I mean, if I put on, there are some things I put on in the car, and I hear a song and I know it's not the Beatles, but actually it may be a very new song. It may be very
Yes.
new,
Yeah.
and it's an intentional
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
homage. Or,
No, there's an artist named Steve Sanchez, and he uses tons of reverb, and his packaging is even like, it's not even just that it's visually designed to look retro, because a lot of kind of artists do that, but it's even written in a way like it has a whole backstory about how in 1957 in a hotel, like, and he's not that old, it's not possible, but he's just created
that's
this sort of
interesting.
character around, which I love. But no, okay, back to this. We all listen to everything. I can remember when I was a young punk. I was living in New Mexico. This was the 90s. This was a period where, specifically within the punk community, there were all these types, there were kind of purity attitudes in terms of not even just people who listen to music that's not punk, but people who listen to types of punk that weren't punk enough. You know, I mean, real. And this was sort of the climate. At the same time, I continued to have the same eclectic taste that I've always had, and sort of processing what do I do with that. I'm not going to feel guilty or shameful about the music that I love, but I don't know. In any event, at the height of this, I'm working with a woman named Angela. Her boyfriend is the lead singer of Logical Nonsense, which is the biggest band in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the biggest band in New Mexico at the time. I mean, they were a punk band. They were on a California record label owned by Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. They were huge. So I am enthralled by them, as we all were. Because I work with her, I end up in a car with a bunch of the Logical Nonsense guys. Who are they listening to? These are like super hardcore, like rah, 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 like super gruff, like really. Who are they listening to? Sade. That's who they're listening to in the car. They're listening to Sade and singing along and singing along. And so at that point, I let go of any, like, no one was gonna make me feel I was gonna wear any band T-shirt I wanted, and you can judge me for it or not. And yeah. But who's taking whose audiences? And I mean, I said kind of glibly that maybe it was Taylor and Beyond. I don't know who's, but again, some people are flying to England to see Taylor Swift because it's cheaper than buying tickets in America, which is a whole thing with Ticketmaster. But for someone to do that, that's thousands of dollars. I mean, that's not just other concerts. They're probably foregoing dinners out. They're probably taking second. I don't know how people are affording Taylor Swift tickets. I mean, it's kind of insane.
Well, obviously, most people, well, okay, do you think that because they've paid so much,
Right.
they have to say that they had a fantastic time?
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
are
yeah.
there people who say, God, what a waste of money. I'm sorry I ever did that. And I
Okay. I,
just listening on the radio.
no, okay. This is very personal to me because I have gone to the When We Were Young festival 2 years in a row in Las Vegas. The second year, I didn't have such a great time, and then immediately afterwards, tickets went on sale, and I really had to like ask myself, did I have a good enough time to go back again? Ultimately, I decided yes, I did buy tickets, and I will be going back this year, and I better have a really good time this year. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know if it was the first year was just a fluke of it being a new thing, and I just really enjoyed it a lot, or yeah, I don't know. In any event, I do. I think there is a sunk cost that when you've spent so much on it. I mean, there's oftentimes, especially if it's like a bigger show that I've spent, over $100 on tickets. When the night comes, I don't even feel like going out for whatever reason. It's just not. I'm just not into it. But I'm gonna make myself go, and I'm gonna make myself have a good time. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah. Do you see the same bands when you go on to the When We Were Young
No,
festival?
it's different bands each year, but it's all within this. It's all emo. It's in the same category.
Okay.
But they're often bands I've seen before, like Blink 182 or Fall Out Boy or Green Day. Um,
I don't, I mean, I'm kind of aged out of concerts, but I I wouldn't, having seen an artist that I liked and enjoyed it, I've never had any desire to see them again.
huh.
I mean, I saw
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, I saw Billy Joel,
Yes.
I saw Tom Petty, and I saw poor old Elton John at the end, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was, they were all worth it. They were well
Oh, yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. 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 But
But
you wouldn't do it
but
again.
I wouldn't go back to see, you know, I'm not one of the people who see Billy Joel every time he's at Madison
Right.
Square Garden, you
Um,
know. Um, so that doesn't make me a loyal fan. It makes me interested to see somebody live whose music I've enjoyed or
right.
do enjoy.
Yes.
This,
No. Um, for me, it goes both ways, and I think especially for top tier artists, again, when we're talking about like stadium shows, usually once is enough, and oftentimes it doesn't sound it's so choreographed, it doesn't sound significantly different from the recorded material for me to feel like I'm getting a full live experience. But oftentimes it's the spectacle, it's the flame pots, it's the stage, it's all those kinds of things can make me kind of enjoy it. But yeah, I am getting to a place where I'm not even sure I like seeing bigger artists, because it's not. But for and then for smaller artists like this rapper that I see, he's a Brooklyn rapper who used to be a teacher turned full-time rapper. I've seen him probably 4 or 5 times, usually at the same venue. Him and a couple of other rappers who are part of this sort of group that they call Lit Hop, which they rap about like books and video games and kind of like other nerdy subjects. But yeah, I see them over and over, but that's also to support them. That's also like I now know them kind of. I mean, I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also, it's not a major effort, right?
no, and it's not. Yeah, no, it's not a major effort investment. Yeah, and it feels good. Yeah, and and some of these guys are hustling. Like they're putting out new material every 6 months, and so each time they come through, they are touring with new material. They're not
Oh,
just
well, that
doing the
makes a
same.
difference.
They're not just doing the same show over and
They're
over.
not doing their biggest hits from 50 years ago or
Right.
whatever.
But most of them actually have like a song that was in a video game or a song that was in the closing credits of some indie movie, and so that they do have like a hit or a
Right, right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. What
Have you
else?
had a flu shot? Sorry, have you
I
had a
have
flu?
not. No, I haven't had my flu shot or my COVID. I know the new COVID is out too. Have you done that?
Yeah, I went yesterday just to CVS and
Yeah.
I got both.
Yep. Which COVID did you get? Do you know? Did
I
you
don't know.
Yeah.
They say they actually I did have a conversation with the nurse or the woman. She said it changes every year like a flu shot.
Right.
In other words,
Yes.
it's designed for whatever's going around.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
you should get it when you get your flu shots.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. No,
uh,
and I absolutely yes. No, and I definitely will, and I'm definitely um yeah. I mean, and has it have people at your job been sick or have because I mean
no,
COVID's going
I
around.
haven't been
Okay.
aware
Yeah.
of that.
Okay.
I haven't been. I've been reading about. Well, there was a strange story in the New York Times about a brain disease that has so far only affected people in New Brunswick, Canada, and it has sometimes severe consequences. They have no real handle on what it's caused by.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the Times. It's not the uh, in a supermarket tabloid. There's evidence that the New Brunswick provincial government went to great pains not to bring in outside people
Right.
if they did not want it to start to impact
Economics.
tourism. I
Yep.
mean, it's really
Yep.
bizarre.
Yep.
In other words, the local people, because of what was happening, the doctors, and one doctor in particular who was very smart, he said, we've got to, we've got to get people from the States and people from,
Right.
it was all shut down. They took the money away. And I don't know, it was very strange, but I don't know whether that would be from a virus. I have no
Right.
idea. And they still haven't figured out how these American diplomats who've been in different places around the world, some of them got very sick
Right.
from, they felt there was some sonic
Oh yeah, yeah, no,
activity.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the Cuban bases, yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
I
that's
just, I mean, I just think that it's not a coincidence that that happens to so many people,
yeah.
They're not it's not psychosomatic or
No,
no.
no, 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 no. Oh no, I absolutely believe that there are weapons and devices. Yeah, no, that what they experienced was real. And then no, I heard a whole NPR about that one actually. But the New Brunswick thing, I worry because of all the misinformation around COVID, and in particular, in this country, and the right wing and the anti-Chinese sentiment, that wherever in the world the next pandemic emerges, exactly what you're saying in New Brunswick, there is the right wing fervor has de-incentivized anyone to reach out and share information and do all the things that you need to do to actually keep people safe. I think I'm worried that yeah, the I don't know.
Well, because it will be attributed to some conspiratorial theory before it can be
Yes,
medically
yes.
dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I so have the odds changed, on the election since a week ago?
I don't know. What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you thinking?
Well, I'll tell you something that I wanted to bring up because
Yeah,
I thought it was they had, and I only heard a fragment of this.
sure.
The TV show was a news show interviewing Black and mixed race people, men and women, different uh, different categories or occupations. And I think the subject was, of course, Kamala Harris's ethnicity, Trump's comments, blah, blah,
Yes,
blah.
yes.
And most of the people were saying, you know, ridiculous, she's black, that's fine, I'm gonna vote for her. I mean, that kind of
Right,
thing.
right, right.
And this woman who was kind of she was argumentative, but she was very stroppy, and she said, um, going to Howard doesn't make her black.
That is
Michael,
simply
this
true.
is really interesting because she'd have to be to go.
No, you don't. No, you
No,
don't. Um,
well, okay, but the point is, so it's a black university,
yes,
right?
no, but
So
right,
the woman meant something else.
right,
What I heard was, she's not my class. She doesn't know me. She
right,
doesn't know my job or what I do or how I live. That's
right.
that's what I heard.
Sure. Yes,
And I wondered if, when Obama was running,
yes.
if there were black men who had that attitude to him, and I didn't think so as much. A working class black man or a guy with, trying to get by, looking at Obama and saying, well, I'm going to vote for him because he's a college kid,
Right. No, no, no. Yeah, I don't.
I can't see
No.
that, but
Okay, but and again, I want to be very careful here because it very easily tread into tropes. But black men are at least statistically, less politically engaged than black women, period. So that's one thing. I think they're also less likely to I see themselves in the candidate one way or another. I think a black woman looks at herself compares herself to Kamala Harris the same way a white woman does, because women tend to compare themselves more. Again, I'm treading very dangerously into
Oh,
Trump,
I don't know, but
but
listen,
compare themselves more. Women are much more likely to cut each other down. I work in a woman-driven business where
I
they come
know,
to me and tell
I know
me,
this. Yeah, I know
you
that.
know, so yes, I don't. I think I don't think the average black man is going to look at Obama and with that kind of a chip, with that kind of a prove yourself to me attitude, the same way any woman is actually going to for any other woman, and that's just an unfortunate aspect of in fact patriarchy, of misogyny, is that it has infected women's relationships with one another.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, overall, did you watch the interview? Any?
I didn't.
Neither did
I read a commentary that uh, she was she wandered a little bit, but she didn't make any mistakes. She was on point. She avoided uh, she avoided getting into Trump's world, so to
Right,
speak. In
right,
other
right.
words, she dismissed him in a sense. I
Hmm.
mean, not that he wasn't a threat, but she did not get sucked into it being about him.
Right.
But she wasn't very specific about policies. But I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, other than abortion, immigration, and the economy, I think are going to be the issues for the Democrats.
Right.
And I don't. I think the economy. It depends. I think 10 people picked at random will
Yep.
have 10 totally different.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a raise, it's doing
Yeah.
well, or
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
tired, it's awful, or my grocery store's gone up. And but that's not anything the
No.
president can do anything
No.
about.
You're right. And it never is. But that perception is so much more important than whether inflation is actually high or not, whether or not. And then the one thing that an economist pointed out, that even when inflation is low, it's still going up. So next year, reliably, if inflation is low, cheese will be 50 cents more expensive, but inflation high, cheese will be $1 more expensive. Regardless, if I am the opposition candidate, I can count on the fact that prices will be higher, and I can point to that to this and attach that to the sitting candidate. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's always, yeah,
Oh
you can.
yeah, because no presidential candidate or president has ever been able to have prices lower than the guy before, or the
Well,
person before.
except for every single president since George Bush, when gas was almost $6 a gallon, all his fault. I mean, there are certain things as much as I'm always defending Biden, like, gas prices aren't his fault.
Well,
Sometimes literally you start a war and it is your fault. And I mean, it's so, but I'm being a little bit facetious there. But yes, I think, no. And then on the other side, they're just completely tap dancing all over I mean, it's you can see them just like trying to keep all the plates spinning and doing anything. Look at me, look at me. Like, I mean, Trump is first, he's saying that he'll be the president for reproductive rights. He's saying that, he's quietly when he's in meetings with evangelicals, saying he'll ban IVF, but then publicly announcing for whatever reason that they would make it free, just because he doesn't mean that. There's
I
no,
don't think he knows what it is, really.
no,
No, I don't think he
yeah,
understands the difference between the various ways of that people have to try to get pregnant?
Well, he clearly doesn't, because if he knew, it costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not like, yeah, I mean, each time, and the attempts aren't always successful, and people do it for years and years. Anyway, he knows nothing about it, and that's clear. But what were the other things that no? And then, I mean, they're pandering now. He's pandering straight to QAnon, which is, I know, like the whole right wing is all kind of, it's hard to separate them all, but QAnon is really the extremist of the extreme. These are the people who genuinely believe that Democrats are Satanists who are drinking babies' blood to live forever. These are the Pizzagate, and John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's chief of staff, is killing babies in a basement of a. But no, a guy actually drove to a pizza place in D.C. with a gun. I mean, these people are dangerous, and he's always been kind of like wink, wink. I don't really know who they are, but I refuse to tell them off.
He wants their votes.
No, much like Project 2025, he just keeps insisting he doesn't know what it is, so he can't be attached to it. But yeah, now he's just openly flirting with them there. But also, yeah, I don't know. JD Vance is going after like Miss Teen USA, like literally like bullying teenagers. I mean, it's there.
What's the problem with Miss Teen
Oh,
USA?
okay. Well, he's actually trying to bully Kamala Harris. This is an incident. It's actually, well, she's an adult now, but it's an incident. Remember, by the way, that Miss Teen USA pageant was owned by Donald Trump. This girl was a Trump supporter who has her picture taken with Trump and Trump Jr., but that was years ago, which is why it's kind of ironic JD Vance just picked her of all people to bully and refused to apologize to, because he was just joking. And but so she was asked a question, and this is in 2007. I actually remember when this went viral, but she basically was asked a question about geography. She gave a really, 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 really awkward answer. It went viral in part because Mario Lopez, who was the host, kind of, he was trying to keep a straight face, but you could even see in his eyes as they like roll in that it was just a really bad answer. So then JD Vance in 2024 now digs up, again, a video of a teenager from 20 years ago. How is he spending his time? He says, I found the full footage of the Kamala Harris interview. And then so to imply something about Kamala Harris's performance and this girl's performance. This girl, by the way, told Vanity Fair in 2012 that she actually thought about, in self-harm warning, she thought about killing herself because of the bullying she received.
What was her relationship to Kamala Harris?
Nothing at all. She's
none.
He just he's just trying to imply he's dredging up. Yeah, there is no reason.
Okay, he's talking about, but was it because this woman, this teenager, had a relationship with Trump, or
no? I don't think he even knew that. I think he might have not.
Is she saying something now? I mean,
no. She is, up until months ago, was still supporting Trump, but now she's probably not. But I don't know. But no, he had no political motivation. He just, other than mean-spiritedness, other than, I'm going to pick on this again, and someone who.
How was he making a point with that?
The point was, this girl is inarticulate and Kamala Harris is inarticulate. That's the point I think he was trying to make. Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Was the teenager black?
No, she happened to be white. That would have been worse, though.
Well, that would have been more obvious, but so he sounds like that is really weird.
It
is.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go there, so is owning Miss Teen USA and going into the dressing rooms with Donald used to. I don't know.
But that was not surprising to people who knew him.
Right.
Then.
Right.
That was why he didn't really get very far in to be pals with the people in New York he would like to be pals with, other than grade B celebrities and politicians who he could find. But the people whose dining room or living rooms he wanted to get into, his behavior was too vulgar. It was inappropriate.
Okay, on that. Okay, Arlington. The any
Well,
thoughts?
that again, that's boorish behavior. I don't the idea that a the idea that there would be something sacrosanct about any area of ground is completely alien to Donald Trump.
Well, I mean,
Because in
to
other words, he would go, he goes and he marches around with the Bible upside down. It's all props. Everything
yes,
is a prop to
yeah,
him. So a grave of a dead soldier is a prop.
yes. No, and to me, yeah, I mean, it, well, again, it's not surprising at all. It's all just part of who they are. But I mean, it's also to me, I mean, it's echoes of January 6th. It's we go where we want. We decide what's the
Yes.
law. And then I mean the literal gaslighting that they've been doing for the last week, saying, well, we were invited over and over and over, insisting that the invitation from the families equates to that somehow that equates to the invitation from the army, and to pretend, I mean, this is how they operate. They pretend, play dumb in plain sight, because anyone can understand if the situation was reversed and a leftist broke a law but said, oh no, I was invited, they wouldn't have any problem understanding why that was wrong. But I mean, it's if it's like if I say as a Wells Fargo's customer, feel free to rob my bank. I don't care. You can rob my bank.
Yeah.
My money's insured. Does that absolve you of the? Can you then go into a bank and rob it legally because I, as a customer, said no? That's not how permission works. But it's to pretend some families invited him, therefore they have the official invite, those families don't speak for all the families.
Well, also, those families, you and I are pretty positive, were hand-picked Trump supporters who it was suggested to them that they should invite him.
Okay. Out of so, and again, we're talking about a real incident that occurred during the pullout in Afghanistan that was actually started by Trump. But on a day, 13 people were killed by a suicide bomb, including U.S. Military personnel. I would assume of those 13, I don't know how many of them showed up that day, but they weren't all there. So the families who invited him don't even speak for those 13, let alone
No, they were individuals.
everyone
Yeah.
who's buried in that whole section. Some of whom have spoken out. Some of whom whose relatives were in the headstone, whose relatives' headstones were in the
Were
video.
very upset.
Yeah, and so, but and to not even have the to say, I shouldn't have done it, to not, well, of course that would never happen, to ever have the humility to say I was wrong, I'll do better. That's not how
Well,
they operate.
he got his photo off. He'll use it, I'm sure.
He did. They posted it and they haven't taken it down. It's still up.
Well,
Yeah.
I
But I
gotta
know
go.
overall, I think I think that they're just shooting themselves in the foot left and right. I don't think any of it's ultimately going to serve. I mean, I think the pandering is going to fall flat, and the all the meat and the grist for their base, they can have as much fun as they want, laughing it up. They're all
Yeah.
just jokes, but it's not that's not going to influence swing state voters. And so I'm not super worried, but I mean, it's going to be a tight race. I mean, and
It'll
again,
be tight.
it's going
Yeah.
to come down to electoral
Yeah.
votes and all that. What does your week look like?
I go back. I mean, I've been working
Yes.
in August out here, but I go back in on Monday night, and
Okay.
I'll be in the gallery from then on. So I'll
And
be
what's
just
going on in the gallery? Do you have any?
we have an exhibition opening of Jacob El Hanani, who does these he's about my age. He's been around for a long time. He does basically tiny dots building up into big canvases.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think I sent you a catalog.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I wrote a rather personal piece for the catalog, and I like him a lot. So
Yeah.
that'll be okay. And
Cool.
we just to see if the art market's still there. I don't know. It's kind of been very quiet, but
Right.
we'll try and do something about that.
Yeah.
Your
Okay.
week? a week ahead?
I'm glad to have Monday off, and then I think it's just I have like all day trainings, which no, it's fine. It's yeah, no, but I think 2 days in a row of like being I am pretty used to remote work. Like 2 days of all
Yeah.
day being in a room with other people is
Oh, I see.
is about
Oh,
my capacity.
challenge, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's my capacity for social.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I think yeah, no. This week I did a training. I did yeah, work's going fine, usual.
good.
Okay, I'll talk to you
Talk
next
to you
week.
soon.
I
I
love
love
you.
you, Bob.
Bye.